by tomorrow noon. Also, is the property vacant? I'd like to stop by and look at it. Never looked at it. Like, cash offer,
seen it yet.
never seen it.
Good deal, good deal. You gotta love it.
We're good to go.
You ready? Okay, we want to welcome you to the workshop this evening. I'm very pleased to tell you that one of our own members here, Kenneth Sook, has graciously consented to give us a look at Podio. And so I don't have much to say other than we're glad you all are here, and I want to thank Kenneth for volunteering tonight. Take it away, Kenneth.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. So hi everybody, my name is Kenneth Sock. Let me know if you can't hear me. And also I tend to speak pretty fast, so if you don't understand, just let me know, I don't feel bad. The presentation will be relatively simple in terms of how the format's going to go. Just give a little background about myself. We're going to go essentially what is a CRM, the benefits, pros and cons of FreedomSoft versus Podio, and then afterwards we're just going to go right into the demo itself. And we're going to leave a lot of room for questions because I know everybody's got something they want to try or something they want to do. Now, I'm not an expert. I consider myself, I just know a little bit more than you. So, we'll try and figure it out together if we don't know the answer. And we'll just go take it from there, okay? So, a little bit about myself. I've been in the program now for about 9 months. Had a fair bit of success, and also a fair bit of lessons, you can call them that. And anyways, my background is a computer programmer. I do application development for a high-frequency trading firm. And so I've always been, with technology. I've always loved to do technology. And so since joining, we tried all the different CRMs out there. So FreedomSoft, I did a little bit of Asana, used Zoho, and afterwards now I found Podio and I really enjoyed it. So raise your hand if you don't know what a CRM is, or if you don't know what it stands for. Okay. So CRM stands for Customer Relations Management. Okay. So it is a tool that you use essentially to manage your customers, right? Now there are a lot of different options out there that you have. Like I mentioned, Zoho is one, it's a free service. FreedomSoft, of course, is another one. Salesforce, Sugar CRM. I don't know if any of these are familiar, but there are a lot of different options out there. Podio itself is not necessarily a CRM, but it has the functionality to be that way. So you can create it and craft it to make it into a CRM. Okay? And what's interesting, like Sugar CRM is actually what Real Acquisition is using. So a lot of these different real estate companies are starting to create their own. So FreedomSoft was created by Crescent Eli. Sugar CRM is used by Real Acquisition, and then on top of that too, I know Sean Terry, who does the Flip to Freedom, who is actually these modules that y'all got have actually been based on, he's crafted those, and so he's actually working on another one too in the future. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't have any information yet. Aside from it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be able to run comps and do a couple other things too. Okay, so for the sake of this conversation, we're mainly going to talk about FreedomSoft and Podio because I think a lot of people are very familiar with FreedomSoft, and Podio is the new one we're going to get to. Okay. So in terms of FreedomSoft, there are pros and cons to it. I don't know, has everybody at least dabbled a little bit in FreedomSoft or used it to a certain degree? No? A little bit? Okay, all right. Well, it's still a very powerful tool. So I would say, don't discount it yet. I have made the switch over, but we're still finding things useful in FreedomSoft to use, okay? But in general, good things about FreedomSoft, it's more real estate geared. So it is specifically real estate oriented. You've got all the fields in there. It's crafted for real estate investors. Okay. You also have the ability to generate contracts. They have a lot of templates in there, so you have documents. So you can, if you want to generate a contract real fast, you put in the seller information, it'll pop out a PDF for you very easily. Podio does not have that. Now there are other services that do something like that too, like DocuSign, ZipForm. There are lots of online programs that give you the ability to make it a lot easier too, especially DocuSign. You can send the document over to your seller, they can sign it online, and then you get a copy, they get a copy. That's kind of cool. But with Podio, you don't have that. FreedomSoft does have the ability to generate them. You've got automation as well. You can send out offers. They have an offer bot that you can send out lots of different documents to. And then you also have a large community of other investors. So you can actually reach out, branch out to them. Hey, I have a lead, I have a seller, or I'm looking for private lending, or I am a private lender, right? And then also finally, you've got the web integration. So that you can do syndication. You can broadcast your leads out to them. You can have a squeeze page. All of it's taken care of, so they put the information into the squeeze page, and it'll go right into your FreedomSoft account, okay? So that's a lot of good things about FreedomSoft. Some of the cons, though, that I found that had me moving away from FreedomSoft was that it is pretty clunky and slow. So I don't know if y'all, for those that have used it, it can be a little bit bothersome, cumbersome to get into, right? It gets a little slow. I had issues where it would actually break when I was generating documents. It wouldn't generate the documents that you needed. It would fail on me. I even called customer support, and they essentially, they said, oh, it's working, and of course it wasn't working, right? Like customer services. And it's not very flexible in the terms that, Podio, as you're gonna see, is very smooth. You can add things, you can take things away, very simple to get into. And then finally, it's not that intuitive. So you kind of have to feel around for it a little bit. Whereas in Podio, I found that you can really get in there, you can kind of, touch different items, touch different links, and it kind of just makes sense. It's a little more intuitive on that, all right? And then finally, let's see. And also the workflow for FreedomSoft can be a little inefficient. So that's kind of my impression of it, but I'll let you guys kind of, feel around for both of them. Like I said, don't discount FreedomSoft yet. There's a lot of stuff in there to be used, but, there's pros and cons, okay? So, with Podio, the good thing about Podio is that it's incredibly flexible. You can create modules. The ones that have been provided to you already, have been kind of crafted by one of Tim's friends, and it's set up solely for wholesaling. But they weren't created, by the team at Podio. But there are lots of apps there. If you want an accounting app, you want a marketing app, you want something to manage your hotel chains or something like that, they have different apps and different suites of apps you can use there too, okay? You have, like I said, lots of apps and modules to choose from, so if there's not something that you want there that's not already created, you can create it yourself too, okay? It's a lot smoother, it's a lot cleaner interface, it's lots more easy to use, I think, in my opinion. And also, it accesses that task manager too, so you can assign people tasks. If I need to assign Rudy, who's on my team, hey, make sure you call the seller. He will see that, and you'll be able to manage your team from that side. And he can say, I've done it, and click, and you'll be able to keep status updates on all your team. Okay. Now, some of the cons is that it is not real estate geared. So, Podio is a very versatile tool, and so you can use it for pretty much anything. And they craft it that way. It's very generic, but because of that, you have to, it doesn't have that logic there. So you have to kind of figure out, okay, if I want to run comps, if I want to do, determine the equity, if I want to know how much what the MAO is or the ARV, you have to input in that yourself. And there's a way to do that, but you have to go through that tinkering to do it, okay? You can't generate documents, like I said, that's another one. And then there's not much of a community either, so you don't really have a bunch of people to talk to. There may be some, I'm sure there are people out there that use Podio for real estate, but, you have to go and find them yourself. And also another one that kind of irks me is that there's no auto refresh. So that's a little thing that just doesn't refresh the data. You have to click on it to, get the data to show up. Okay? So that is kind of my really quick introduction to Podio and FreedomSoft. Does anybody have any questions? I'm about to do the demo.
Yeah, what's the security code here?
The security code here is
CITIPASS 22.
CITIPASS 22. Is that right?
Yes.
Say it again?
CITIPASS CityPass 22. All lowercase. Okay.
Is there a limited number of connections?
What do you mean by connections?
So that, get on the Wi-Fi?
I don't think so. Maybe bandwidth, so hopefully you guys don't crash it. So I think it's gonna be okay. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start off at the top. Okay, so once you log into Podio, I'm gonna start off at basically this top bar, this middle bar, and then this lower section. Okay? Now, what I have right now is under my Kenneth workspace, and you can see I have a lot of other workspaces that I use. So this is my training one. You can pull it up real fast. And so it doesn't have as many, but it has my team on here, and it doesn't have, I didn't want them access to everything. So I've limited their ability to see all of my information, okay? Whereas in my wholesale one, I have a lot more of those, and then the workspace right here is the one that all of you have access to that Gerald has set up for you, okay? So, as you can see, in order to switch workspaces, you just click on that, and then essentially you can create a new workspace. I'm sorry?
Where?
Oh, I'm sorry, right here, on the left-hand side at the top right here, you can push G, or, it's this area right here, it says Kenneth workspace. Okay, yes?
How do you get all those icons at the top? I don't have those.
You don't have these right now? Did Gerald not say? Well, what's your workspace?
Maybe I just need to click on something.
What's your workspace right now?
What's the network name?
Susan?
Say Susan,
Yeah.
no, workspace? Is that what you see right here?
No, she doesn't have those.
Wait, should I click on open workspaces?
Yeah, so you have these are all your, this is just opened up,
Google Workspace.
right?
My screen doesn't look like what yours looks like.
How does it look right now? It may look like, for instance, like if you go to here, it may look like something like this.
We have the all projects tab. I think it's just this.
There everybody with it so far, or are you still,
No, mine doesn't look like that either.
doesn't look like this either?
No. It has Christina Miku Workspace in the middle, all projects, and on the right, Christina Miku Workspace. And this looks the same thing too.
Yeah, and he
Wait,
said.
let's see.
It says, that's what I'm trying to say. The icons along the top are where.
Or you're at home.
So is everybody,
Seems
so,
to be different.
okay, so people have different ones then,
Yes, it's
okay.
kind of
I thought we were all working from the same,
Oh, sorry, they weren't there.
somewhat.
Okay, so where are those on?
How'd you get it?
See.
It says.
Is everybody there yet? Who doesn't have it? Let me ask, who doesn't have
Oh,
the
maybe
setup?
you have to click on.
I don't know.
You still don't have it yet? Still working on it? Okay.
You go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, Gabe,
Yeah.
you don't have it either? Y'all don't have it? Okay, let me see if I can help out. Wanna make sure everybody's on the same page.
It's the same.
Yeah. Yes.
I knew I was gonna get flack for that.
You know, think,
Real estate.
think of your workspace as your office,
We got it.
You got it, you good?
right? Your workspace as your office. So whoever, like whenever you log in, you have to go to your workspace to get into your office. Because you can have multiple offices within your account.
Okay.
So like in my account, because all of you guys added me to your workspace, so I can, install this and also manage you guys, then when I log into my account, I have a lot of different workspaces, meaning I have a lot of different offices I can go into. So each one of you represents one office, right? One workspace, which is one office.
So you see
So for
all of
your-
us, but we don't see you.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's good.
You see me because you added me to your workspace.
I don't see you.
Okay? You will not see their workspace unless they add you to their workspace. Right? So ideally, what we're trying to do here is that as coaches, we get to see your workspace, so that way when we're coaching you through something, when we look at a property with you, we can very quickly go in there and see all the property information that you have on there, and very quickly coach you through it without you giving us those information again. Right? So so just think of the workspace as like your physical office. Okay, so whoever you invite into that workspace, all the people that get access to it, that see it, and so that could be your employees, it could be contractors, whoever. There's different users, so like different access once they get to the office, they can go to this room, they go to the back room, right? Depending on the access, sort of allow you to visually see that.
Good, thanks, Jim. So I think everybody sees relatively the same thing. It may not be exactly, but that's okay. Okay? So essentially, you're going to see those names: activity, contact, sellers, cash buyers. So as Tim was saying, your workspace is essentially kind of like a sandbox. Okay, so everybody kind of has access to, whoever's in that workspace has access to that data, that information. Okay, and if you're not part of that sandbox, not part of that workspace, then you can't see it. All right. So, in order to change workspaces or create another one, click there on this area right here. You can create another workspace if you wanted to, or open up the ones that you have available to you. Okay. This Podio one just takes you back to your home page. Over here is your contacts. So this is all the people that you've talked to within Podio. Okay. All these different people here are people that I've talked to within Podio. Okay?
When you say talk to within Podio, you mean like sending email
Like
through
send them
Podio?
an email, you've added them as a contact, you've added them as one of the people within your workspace. So it's whoever that has access to Podio as well, right? So, I'll go to that. Then you have a calendar, which essentially allows you to see, basically all your items, all entries that you need to go to. I'm not gonna go into that calendar. And then check, this is your task system, so you can actually apply task and assign a task to people. So if I want to say, like, some VA info from Rick, or confirm with Imelda about this, or, send these items. If I want to say it's done, I can click on it, like, that's done already. That's done, right? You can create a task, so if I want to enter in a task, let's say, want to say who I want to do it. Say I'm going to be the one responsible for that. I can set a date for the time. It's going to be today. And then, you know, you can enter more information. Right? And if I create that task, now I have a task that's assigned to myself. Now you can also assign tasks to other people. So this one I assign to myself. If I want to assign it to one of my VAs or whoever's part of my workspace, you can do that too. And it'll show up on their screen that they have a task assigned to them. Okay?
Can the calendar function,
Yeah.
sync with Google Calendar or Outlook?
It can, yes. I haven't done that myself personally, but you can sync it up with Google Calendars. And I think it may also sync up with iCal as well. So if you have Apple, you may be able to do that too.
Where's the invite?
Yes. Oh, sorry, Christina, go ahead first.
Sorry. Contacts, can we upload into the contacts, or they have to be entered one by one?
I am not sure. You might be able to. Let me see if you can do that.
Yeah,
Context add number. You might have to do one by one. I'm not sure on that. You might have to do one by one.
Okay.
I missed your part where you introduced Podio.
Mhm.
I want to make sure everyone like clear. Like, do you know what Podio is? Anyone clear what Podio is or what you think it is?
CRM.
You think it's a CRM? What else?
Project management software.
Project management, collaboration. What else? Okay. So Podio is just a platform, right? It's a building, and not even a building. Really, it's a land. And on this land, you can build whatever you want to build on it. Right? You can build a house on it. You can build an apartment on it. You can build an office building on it. You can put a mobile home on it. Right? It's just a land. So in software terms, what that means is Podio is this powerful engine platform that allows you to build whatever you want to build on it. CRM, collaboration tool, social networking, what else did you guys say?
Project management.
Project management, right? So it's not limited to any one of those things. It's just a platform that allows people, non-programmers, to quickly and easily create any kind of program that they want. So that way they can have, basically customized software to run their business or their projects or their organizations without hiring, expensive programmers to come in and do all these customization work. You guys understand that now? Is that clear? So.
Cool. Thanks, Sam, for clearing that up. Appreciate it. So, yep. So, starting up at the top again, this kind of is just your top level, high level, getting to the workspace, and this is going to be across all your workspaces. So your contacts, all your calendars, all your tasks, across all your workspaces. So if you have several of them, you're going to see this all here, okay? And that's going to be, sesupport, search, your account. This is more just kind of along the lines of that relate to your Podio account, okay? Now this middle bar right here is where all your apps or modules are going to reside, okay? And this is where a lot of the cool functionality comes in. This is where you're going to access each of those individual modules to figure out, what you want to do. Now, in this case, everybody should have contacts, sellers, and cash buyers. The icons may be different. You can change the icons too if you want. So if you don't like this person one, or if you don't like this, this money bag, you can change it to a bigger money bag. Or they have a whole bunch of different icons that you can choose from. Okay. In addition to that, if you need another app, you can say, I want, I'm missing something here. I want another app. You can add an app, and you can choose from the market. If I want to go and find something that's event management, like kind of project management type stuff, or IT, intranet marketing, they have a whole bunch of these other ones that you can actually add a la carte to your Podio account. Okay. You also have suites. So if I just want to get the entire thing, this one has 3 apps in there specifically for project management. They all work together.
Are
Yes.
they free or do you have to pay?
They're
for
all
some?
free.
All free?
Yes, as far as I know, I haven't seen one to be paid for yet. Okay.
And just, and I want to remind Ken too, because there are people in the group that are very non-savvy,
Okay.
right? So saying app, non-techie, I
Okay.
should say, not non-savvy, because you guys are savvy investors, right? non-techy, and so like even saying app, do you guys all understand what apps are? Or did someone not understand what an app is when Ken says that? Right.
I'm not 100% clear in this.
Okay, yeah.
In this.
So
Okay.
So try to.
Let me slow down a little bit.
Yeah, put yourself in the shoe of a totally non-techy.
Okay.
Right.
I talk fast. That's already got it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
an app is a software.
Okay.
Remember I said that Podio is just a platform that you can create any software you want on top of it. Well, in Podio's term, they call it an app, but in a normal term, you would call it a software, right? So it's like you go to Microsoft and you said, hey, build me an email app. So or build me an email software. So basically, Podio becomes your Microsoft company, and you go in and you create an app, which is a software for your emails, right? And then this marketplace is template software, meaning someone already designed and created these software that they allows you to use it for free by adding it to your Podio platform. Right? If you if you look at kind of like Microsoft Word, if you were to go into Microsoft Word and you want to use a postcard template from there, for example, or business card template, well, that's what this is now in the app.
Yeah. So app essentially is short for application, right? And so app is just a set of functionality wrapped up. So each of these different apps has a set functionality, right? So if you want to do, for instance, a project app right here, you click on it, get more info, and say, it'll open up and says, describe your project. This one they didn't put anything there, but they'll have screenshots. They have some information there. People can comment, so you can kind of read a little bit about what each person has done with this app. Okay. Likewise, if you create this great app of your own, and you feel like, man, I want to share this with everybody else, you can actually share your apps with other people too. You can put it on the marketplace and let them have access to it too. Okay. So they have everything from software development, real estate. Probably they have a section for real estate here too. Right, so you can click on that. And if you have a real estate brokerage, you can click on this suite of apps, and it has these different ones on there. Let's see what it has.
I got a question for you. What's a suite of apps?
So
is that just like a group?
It's just a group, yeah.
Okay.
So a suite is just a group of applications. Okay.
So like I see it has expenses app. So rather than getting QuickBooks, I could just put my expenses in here.
Yes and no. I would not discount QuickBooks because it's much more useful, but this one is like an abbreviated version of that. So if I just want to track some marketing and some little items here and there, you can do that. It's a lot easier. But QuickBooks has a lot of functionality there that this one may not too. So it's not to say you can live without both. You may want to use both of them. You may only want to use a high-level one for your expenses, but then use QuickBooks to track and do all the accounting and that type of thing. Does that make sense? Okay. Does everybody understand apps in the app marketplace? Are we good? Everybody good with the app marketplace here? So, okay.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm low tech.
Okay.
I'm like pen and paper low tech.
Okay.
Okay. So is this, if I'm understanding this correctly, you can build your own app similar to the way that you could build like an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
Could you use basically the same kind of fields that you could create a spreadsheet? Could you do the same thing
Yes.
here?
You could, absolutely.
So like if you're going to track, for example, if you're going to track your leads, your expenses, your leads, your whole conversion percentage, track the whole thing. Could you build an app?
You could do that.
How
Yes.
difficult will that be?
It's not that difficult.
Okay.
Not very difficult at all. And those are good questions. We're going to get into that because Podio does allow you a lot of the flexibility, like I said earlier, to aggregate data, to see across the different apps, different aspects of the information. Okay. And modifying your templates, modifying your apps is very simple too. Okay. So this side right here, like I said, is just where all the apps reside. So if I click on my contacts one, right, it's going to be blank right now. I don't have any data there. Come on. But if I wanted to create a contact, all of the apps are going to have a similar format. So they have, your information here, and then this is going to be your contacts, or like the name of the app. You can configure it if you want, and then you can add a contact. So for the sake of this, we're just going to add a contact, okay? we're gonna add a new person here. I'm gonna call this person John Vendor, right? And his company, he does, postcards. And his website, www.postcards.com. And you can add a job title, office information, all this type of stuff. So all these are fields that have been created already, okay? Now let's say you don't like these fields. You want to do something different. You can just say, I want to modify this, okay? So here you can modify the template, and you want to say, instead of saying name, I'm going to call this, first name, right? And then that gets saved. If I want to add one for another one, I said, you know what, I want another text field for his last name. They have these fields over here. You've got text, you've got categories, date, relationship, which I'll get into, contacts, numbers, links. There's a whole bunch of these different ones. Okay? So let me add one real fast. I'm just going to put it in, and I'm just going to drag it over. Right? Click there, and I'm going to change this to last name. Okay? See how simple that was? Just to add another field. So if I wanted to add something else, they have a website already. If I wanted to add an image, maybe they have a picture with their face on it that you want to see. I can drag this over. I grab the image, put it there, change my title to profile picture, and then that's it. And I've added it. Say I don't want the profile picture, you can just close here, and it's gone. Okay? Looks like that. Say I don't want to know what their service is. Done. If they say, are you sure you want to remove this field? Yes, I want to remove this field. Right? Click on that, and it's gone. Yes?
Can you export your contacts? So for example,
Yes.
right, like in my Google contacts, I put them all in and I have my buyers marked,
Mhm.
And then I export that whenever I want to do a mail out. Can you do that here?
Yes, you can do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to export it from Google or wherever it is into an Excel spreadsheet, or rather a CSV file. A CSV is a comma separated values file, or an XL file, XLS, or the new one with the Windows, what is it, 2010? I forget when it is XLSX. Okay, so there are different file extensions, but it'll say, which file extension, as long as it matches that file extension, that .csv, .xls, whatever, it matches up, then we can do that. And I'll show you how to get into that very quickly.
No, I mean, can I export my contacts from Podio?
You can export your contacts from Podio too. So if you want to move them from Podio into a spreadsheet, you can do that as well. Okay? So, but everybody can see how easy it is to go in and out. You can basically add and drop fields. Yes?
Can you be working in the same document, two people be working in the same document at the same time?
You can. It may get a little confusing, but you can both essentially have the same information up. So if both of you are looking at the same seller or the same contact, I believe that you both will be able to view it. And if, say, for instance, you put in a change, and then Hugo decides to put in a change, there is an activity bar on the side that's going to say, Alan made a change here, and then Hugo made a change at 2 seconds later, and so forth. Okay, but we'll get into that. We'll create that in just a second.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So some of these fields you can add, right? You can create a text field. A category field is just like right here. It's a contact type, right? It's a partner. Is it a vendor? Is other? Maybe let me put in a category. So I'm gonna drag it from here, and I'm gonna call this, I don't know,
Buyers.
Friendly. How friendly were they, right? Were they really nice? Were they not so nice? Or don't deal with this person anymore, right? However you want to do that. You can add more categories, and you just keep on going and adding categories. You can also change the color. So if this one is green, this one I'll make yellow, and then this one I'll make red. Right? So you can change the colors. And I didn't touch on this, but there's also this little arrow right here that has options for you too. So you can make it a required field. You make it hidden if empty. You can make it a single choice or a multiple choice. So maybe they're nice and they're not so nice. I don't know. Right? Inline is how it's displayed, and you can also add help text. So I want to say, put in how friendly this person was. Right? After you finish all this, you click done. Okay, this saves it now, and then now I have this field whenever I enter in my contacts. Right? So I'm gonna change this now to John. Oops. Vendor. Now this one is funny. So this one is a big block of text, right? This is good for if you want to write notes or something like that. Well, I don't want it to be that big, so I'm gonna modify that template. I'm gonna click here on this little down arrow. options, and instead of being a multi-line, I want it to be single line, okay? That's done. No, there we go, and I'm just done. And that's it. So now, when I click here, don't mind those tags. Vendor, now it's only one line, okay? Does that make sense? So everybody so far? Pretty good? Okay, good. So we've added this information, he is a nice person, and he's gonna be a vendor, right? And you can choose a file if you wanna attach attachments from him, like invoices, you wanna attach their business card picture or whatever that is, you can do that too. In this note section, you can see it's the block one, so you can put in more information there. You can add tags too if you wanna say, this person is a recent vendor from 2014, or a vendor from 2013, whatever that is, you can do and say 2014, and that creates a 2014 tag, okay? And when you're all done, then you click save, and I've created a vendor now. It says here is my vendor, 2 seconds ago. If I wanna add a comment, talk to his, partner, was also willing to negotiate. Something like that. You click add, and so you can leave comments for one another here. So like Alan, you're asking, you can see essentially that, hey, I put a comment, talk to this guy or talk to his partner, because he may be more willing to negotiate, right? If you make a change, don't deal with this person anymore. Maybe they weren't so friendly. You click on that. I've changed the details, and now I can see that, hey, Kenneth changed these details right here. He's not so friendly anymore, right? Or he is, changed the name. Maybe I don't want to deal with John Bender. Maybe his name was actually Jon. There you go. So change your first name to John. Okay? So it's really easy to get in, add your data, and modify it very quickly too if you need to. Okay? Is everybody with me so far? So let's close this. So once you're done with viewing one single item, you can close this out. And then now, before you saw a bunch of squares, now you're going to see, an item here. You have one entry. This is a row. It has all the fields there. Okay. Now the cool thing is you can also filter by this. You can create filters where you say I only want to see certain entries on here. Right. So let me create another one. Actually, let me go to sellers. Real fast. Let me create another entry. Let me create some real fast. Let's do some test data. So we call this one John Smith. Contact information. Number. So within the seller app itself is actually really interesting, okay? So let me cancel this real fast and talk about it. So the context is just like your vendors. So the format that we have for these apps that have been given to you, you've got contacts, which are your vendors, your partners, other people you want to talk to. You've got your sellers, which are your seller leads, right? You've got your cash buyers, makes sense. You've got agents, if you want to use it. So if you're dealing a lot with real estate agents and you want to track them, you can track them here. If you are making offers, you can track your offers by putting in, the details there. You submitted an offer, it's all this stuff, right? Appointments is a calendar. Your whiteboard kind of ties everything all together. We're gonna get to this one in a little bit. And this one, essentially, you can track your campaign, what marketing you sent, who was the seller, who was the cash buyer, what was the offer. So this one kind of wraps everything all together. You can track your marketing, and so you can have, what your postcards you sent out, your bandit signs, online campaigns. You can have goals if you have your team and you want to say, I want to make, you have to do 10 appointments a week or something like that. You have your campaigns, which is, your actual part of your marketing. So if, you're doing a postcard campaign or you're doing a bandit sign campaign, you can track that. And then, of course, you can also track other wholesalers too. Okay? So this is your suite of apps. If you want to delete one, you can delete it. Or if you want to use it or modify it, you're free to go in and modify as you need to. Okay?
You said that the whiteboard is gonna collect information from all the other ones?
It's not going to collect, it's going to be a place where you can map all of them to, okay? So if I create an entry in the sellers, and then I create an entry in the buyers, and I create an entry in offers, so I've got a seller, John Smith, who's selling his house at $100,000, right? Or he sold it to me at $100,000, and then I sent him an offer for $100,000 and he accepted it, so that's where you track it there. And then say, hey, I found a buyer, James Smith, who wants to buy the house, Then in that whiteboard, you can say, I found, this is my seller, this is my cash buyer, this is my offer. You can even say where the campaign is coming from. Like I got this from a postcard campaign that I sent last week. So the whiteboards is a way to kind of map everything all together.
But, so I still have to input the data into whiteboard?
You still have to map it in there, yes.
Okay.
but it is a way to kind of see from a high level how all your deals are flowing through. Yes?
You said map it, what do you mean?
So when you map it, I mean, you just say, I'll show you that in a second, where
Okay.
you're able to put in data from one app into another that connects the two together.
Okay.
So if I say, for instance, if I create add a whiteboard, this contract is seller contact. I have no seller contacts yet, so I'm gonna add an entry. But if I put in, let's say, the seller's name is John, it would find all the Johns in there, and I could say this John, so that if I clicked on this field, it would send me to his information. Okay? So let's do that real quick. Let's do a couple of these. Let's go back fast. Let's go to sellers. And I'm going to add a seller. Right? I'm gonna let's call him John, seller. His contact number. Email address if you want. Auto Aweber, I don't use this. This is part of what Sean Terry uses, so it's up to you guys. Essentially, he maps it to he has a mailing campaign that he can send out to and constantly send updates to his sellers if they have that web, so you can put that there. We can put the property address. And the cool thing about this property address is actually you can put in an actual address, right? So let's call it, I don't know, 3103.
Yeah, so right
Main.
now, for most of you guys, you don't have an autoresponder set up yet, right? So this part doesn't apply to you, but instead of Aweber, it could be MailChimp, or it could be Constant Contact, or one of those email services that you sign up for. And so you can tie it in so that way it has an automatic follow-up sequence, autoresponder sequence that goes out and follows up with these sellers through emails. Okay, so that will be for the near future, but right now we'll keep things simple with what you have. And it might be that you'll sign up with it. Aweber is probably is the best email service in terms of deliverability. They have the best deliverability rate compared to other companies. The best service, it calls a double opt-in, so that means that it requires the seller to click to confirm their opt-in, which most of them probably will never do that, right? And so that's why we don't talk too much about Aweber. We'll talk more for you guys to sign up with MailChimp because your first 2,000 emails are free. But yeah, in the future we'll talk more about this part of it.
Thanks. So if you see this little red dot, it's a little red asterisk, that means that field is required. Okay? So if you have to fill in this field in order to create the entry, that means it's a required entry there. You can add an email address. You obviously had to add a property address, and like I said, this field is pretty cool because you can put in an actual address and it'll pull up the Google map and show you on the screen, right? So if I want to pull up an address right now, I'm trying to pull up,
59 Grassy
59
Grassy.
Grassy
No, it's K.
K-N-O-L-L-S, right? There you go.
There it is.
Sugar Land, Texas. I entered that in. I've got a map now of the location of my property. Okay? If you click on it, it'll actually open up another tab or another window, and it'll actually pull it up here in the Google Maps, so you can actually come and take a look if you want to as well. So pretty convenient to come and take a look at that, right? So this is pretty much Google Maps, but you can add that from right here. Okay? And it'll start going, essentially just try and find, as you type, the more you type, the more it'll narrow down to the property that you're looking for, okay? You can add bedrooms. Let's say it's a 3-bedroom, and it's a 2-bath, and you put the size of the house, occupancy. Now, let's go back and modify the template. Now, this is an inline option. So remember we had categories before, right? So this is a category, this is a category, this is a category, this is a category. These are inline categories. If you want it to be list, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if it's a drop-down box, you're going to see like this, occupancy, drop-down. Okay, so let's make this, if I want to make this a list, let's do that. So I want to modify this template. And for bedrooms, I want to make it, instead of being inline, I want it to be a list now, right? So let's make that a list. I'm gonna say I'm done modifying it. And now you see that it goes down like that. Okay? Does that make sense? This is just purely a preference thing, so however you want to customize it is up to you, right? But the options are there for you to be able to play with and do different things. So this is a list, this is inline, this is your Dropbox. Okay? Well, let's say we get down, we've created all our fields, size of the house, occupancy listed, that's not listed, is it listed for reason for selling, obviously very important, what's their motivation, how quickly do they need to sell, ASAP, is there any notes or something, how much do you think the property is worth. You can have your seller questionnaire just basically be each of these questions. How much do you think the property is worth? Are there any repairs needed on this? If we can pay cash and close quickly, what's the least that you'll accept? And you can just go down and just enter in this information and have either yourself, your VA, your assistant, whoever it is, they can ask the questions right off the bat and enter in that information, okay? You have notes you can add in. Next action is useful for tracking, what you need to do next. There's a due date, you want to add that to, and then a motivation bucket. So again, all of these are fields that are added.
On
Yes?
next action, so for example, I got this seller here, and I want to follow up with him next week. I could put here, I could just put here a date, and will it give me some kind of alarm or something?
You can set up an alarm to do so.
So there is no alarm set up now?
I don't think there's no alarm set up right now.
Okay,
So you
got
can
it.
put a date, and you can have it say, hey, I need to do something with it, but I think you have to create a task in order to create an alarm. But you can't organize your leads by saying by the date of when the next one I need to follow up with. So if I create this and I say, I need to call tomorrow, because I've already attempted to call, but I didn't reach them, or I need to follow up, right? And then I set my date for, let's say tomorrow. When I organize it, and I'll show you in a second, then you can see that, organize by your list of by action, right? And so this is all, again, fields that you can add, if you want to add postcard tracking or something, potential equity, you have Redfin, who's working this lead if you have a bunch of people. So say for instance, I'm working on this, or, Marge is working on this or something like that. I can assign that there, and I can see that that person is working on it, right? Outsource lead. So once I'm done, I click Save Seller, and now I'm good. I created my seller, so that's one right there. Let me create it. I don't know how fast. Let's do another quick one. Whatever. Okay. So now I've got two leads here, Jane Seller, John Seller, right? You can organize, say some of them I really need, or some of them I really don't need, right? So if I say, for instance, I don't need to know the email address, you can go here and say options, and say, I don't need to see their email address. You remove that, and now their email address is gone. Okay? I only want to see, I don't need to see that it's listed for. It's occupancy that I just start clicking these off. Now I'm narrowing my view of what to see. Does that make sense?
Can you sort those as well?
You can sort these as well. So if I just want, Jane and John, I can flip it around, and now it's, here you go, John and Jane.
But as far as where it says seller name, contact number, can you switch those around?
Oh yeah, let's see.
Like click and drag or something?
No, I don't think you can click and drag. You may have to, if that's the case, what you'll do is you'll go and you'll modify the template. So if I say, right here, modify my template, so this is a little wrench, you can modify it, and you just switch these around, right? So let's grab this, I'm gonna move to that there.
Oh, okay.
Say done. Again, you can just pull these and drag, right? Let's refresh that. There you go. So now it's been changed that way, okay?
So for example, I got 10 sellers in here, I could scroll to the right to the next action due date thing, and then click on that column header, and it'll sort it
Yes. You can
by
sort by-
the due dates, and I could just okay, these are the things I need to do today.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you can sort, there's also sorting here, so if you want to sort by, the seller name, the contact name, all the fields basically A to Z, or list ascending, or ascending. You can also filter and say, I only want the people, for instance, which one do we have how quickly do you want to sell? You know, I don't want the people that's selling ASAP, right? And now I've got only John because that's the only one I filled out. But if somebody else was filled out as 30 days or 60 days, they would get filtered out of my view. Okay? Say you set up the view in a way that you really like it too. Like, yeah, you know what? This really works for me. I like that I've moved the fields this way. You can save your view, right? Save your view and create a name for it. I'll call this. And so now, every time I access this view, you see I only have 1 of 2 entries, right? I only got 1 or 2, but if I want to see everybody, I can go back, all my sellers, and now I've got everybody back here again. Does that make sense? Yes.
Hey, Kit, on that, as that task comes, current, does it show it on will it show it on the view for you?
You mean like
Even
with
if you don't have it listed as an ASAP?
You mean if like the next action or something like that? No, not really. So this one is a view of the sellers, right? If you want to create a task or an alarm, you need to go ahead and create a task item here.
So that you were filtering per ASAP?
Yeah,
And you had others that weren't ASAP?
yeah.
So will they not show up in your view?
Yeah, they won't show up in the view because you're filtering by the word ASAP, right?
Okay.
If you're filtering by ASAP in 30 days, those will show up too. Now, if you change them, if you change one entry, it's like, you know what, she said she had to sell 60 days, but really she has to sell ASAP, then it'll be updated and you'll see the refreshed view.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem. Yes.
Up in the icon bar, how can we remove some of those that we're not using? I have some extra ones up there that are.
Sure, absolutely. So let's say, for instance, you don't use agent, right? Let's just say, I personally don't use this one, but you may find use for it. So what you can do then is you can click on this wrench icon, and you've got a lot of fields here, and we're going to go into these too about how to Excel import, Excel export, email to app integration. You can also delete this app. You can clone an app, right? Delete it, archive it if you just don't want to see it, but you still want it. You don't want to delete it, but you still want it there. You can archive. You can clone the app. So if you can see mine, I have, my training. I've cloned a bunch of my apps. So I have at least I've cloned it and I haven't put in any of the data, but I have the format, the structure is there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the app is there, but none of the data. You can import the data if you want to, but you don't have to. But I've cloned it from one workspace into another. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So is there a way to, figure out how to add calendar tasks directly out of, say, a seller, so that I can touch base with the seller again? From the seller app?
From the seller app.
So if I go to the seller app and I wanna touch base with that seller again in, say, 2 days, you're saying there's no way to create something out of that page? I have to go to the task and create it, right? Is that what you're saying?
I think there may, I'm not quite sure. Honestly, I haven't done that all that much, so I'm not 100%. I would think there should be a way to do that,
Like maybe
but I haven't figured out how to do it
Okay,
yet. So I don't know. If I find out, I'll.
Well, I'll search too.
Or if you find out, someone
Yeah.
finds out, yeah. So there definitely should be a way to do that.
Yeah, I
That'd be great.
think that would be useful.
So, anyways, this is the seller app. Again, you can modify as you need to, but it's just one where probably a lot of us will spend a lot of time in, okay? So I created 2 sellers here. Let's say I want to add a cash line. Oh, no, actually, let's stop. Go back. So then you've also got, you can change the view. This is all the entries here. You can, you've covered options. You can sort. You can filter. You can also change the layout too. So you decide, I don't want a table, I want badges or something like that. So this has information there. You want to see just individual entries too. Okay? So feel free to play around with this. You can have activity, calendar, that type of thing. But feel free to play around, and essentially it's all up to you, your preferences on how you want to go about organizing your data. Okay? So, here covers sellers. Now let's say you want to import and export. Now this wrench right here kind of gives you an ability to modify all of your information, right? Kind of the way the app is set up. If you click the modify templates, you kind of get taken back to this page where you can add fields, take away fields, right? I'll get into this also. So there's a date field, so you can add that. That's pretty common. The relationship field, if I add this in here, and I want to say this one is related to my, let's say my contacts, right? And I I say that one is a relationship to my contacts, and I can say this was my contacts field. So this way, let me save that. When I go in here and I want to touch on it based on my contacts, it'll pull up all the people that I have in contacts. Does that make sense? Because I've just added that here, right? So now I've saved that as John. This person Jay has a contact John. Okay. And let's see, let's refresh that real fast. So when I click on John, it'll take me to, I'm sorry, if I click on this one in Jay, and I click on John, it'll take me to John's information. All right. So that's what I was saying when you can map different fields to different apps. So if you have, for instance, that's probably kind of confusing. We'll call this one Kelly, right? So now, let's refresh that. Okay. So within this row, within that field, I've mapped this information, her information, and I've added a field there for context and say maybe Kelly is related to Jane somehow, right? So if I click on Kelly's that field, I'll be taken to Kelly's information. You can do the same thing if it's like an offer, you know, I made an offer to this person, and so if you click on that, you know, link, it'll take you to the offer that you've made on them, right? Or if you have like a campaign, you've sent out a mail campaign, it'll link to that mail campaign too. Does that make sense? Everybody understand? Okay, good. Let's modify again. Contact makes sense. You have a number, so essentially this, instead of being a string, instead of being a block of text, you can actually have a number. So this one will be your, you know, your price or something like that, and it'll be, you can make it a currency. I'm sorry, where's currency? There's money. Maybe this one is your, you know, your repair percentage or something like that. I only want to repair houses up to, you know, 5 houses up to 70%. You can put the decimals, something like that. You can add links, you can add images, money progress, calculation. Calculation is a fun one where you can actually go in and start doing some math. So if I want to take the number field, add number, right, and get the average of that or something like that, average number of units or something. You can start doing calculations here, and this is where you can actually start doing some math to, you know, to run and do your, you know, if you want to do your ARV, or you want to do, not ARV, sorry, you want to do like a percent of the ARV, so you want 70% of the ARV or something like that, or you want to do, you know, repairs. You want to take the ARV minus the repairs, gives you this amount or something, okay? So I'll let y'all play with that. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff in this that, you know, we could go on forever. And so that covers that mostly. Okay.
Ken, if you have multiple properties in there, like 400 of them.
Yes.
And you want to find one, what's the fastest way to pick 123 Main Street out of your 400 leads?
You can either do a search right here. There's a search in your sellers button. You can click that and it'll allow you to search quickly like that way. Or you can sort by, you know, seller name, mail or something like that, and then kind of scroll down to that. So that would probably be I wish there was a faster way like that.
Probably sorting that would be faster.
Sorting would be faster is what I found I usually do. I don't usually do the search. Okay. The last big thing I want to talk about is essentially so you can Excel, you can add.
All right, you guys have fun. I'm out of here.
All right. Later,
Bye.
So if you want to import data, this is where you import it, right? So I'm sure all of you have all your leads that you want to add to this. So you choose an Excel file, be an XLS, XLSX, or a CSV. You choose the file, and as long as you make sure that your file has the header, the names, last names, that type of thing, and then you can start mapping them to each of the fields within your app too, okay? Now, I do not have one that I can use real fast, unfortunately, to do, let's see, I'm gonna do this.
And where did you start to literally get all these fields? Because if this is just a platform, you chose something, or created something and have all of those there. Where would we start if we're just logging on?
So if you, let's say you're pulling it out of FreedomSoft, right? And it's gonna give you a bunch of fields, and I think they export into a CSV file. So it's gonna just have the field name, comma, field name, comma, field name, comma. At the top line, you need to make sure that you have your, this is the first name, last name, property address, so forth. And then afterwards, what Podio is gonna do is it's gonna take that top line and say, okay, you have your first name. What does this field map to in your Podio application, in your Podio app, right? So if the seller has, from this field, it'll map to that field. From this field, it'll map to this. Let me see if I can do an example.
I'm way behind you, I'm in the whole general, your gray line there, we had all of
I
those.
was talking about all the apps.
About all the apps.
All that should have been loaded in for you.
That's all there.
Yeah, all this stuff, you mean all these apps right here?
Yeah, but it sounds like since it's a platform, they may not be for everybody, is there specific one to look for, is it, that's automatically gonna be there when you log on to Podio?
So if you've had Gerald set up your apps for you already, have you done that yet or no? No, okay, so email Gerald and essentially have him set up your apps, and he'll basically put all these apps available to you already. So yeah, they'll do that. You can create it from scratch if you want, but it'll be faster for him just to clone the apps and just add them to your workspace for you, okay? Let me see if I can pull up one real fast. Let me do this. Let me do an export and then an import. How about that? So I'll have some duplicate data here, but that's fine. So let's say I want to export all this information, right? So I'm going to go ahead, Excel export. It's going to create exported. I finished that. And I want to save my file now. So here's my file. So these are my sellers, right? So I've just exported my information. Okay? And this is where? Sellers. Okay, good. So if I have my sellers, so that file there, let's say this is a completely separate file that I've gotten from another source, and I want to import this now. I want to import this in, right? So I click that wrench, and I want to choose the file. You can drag it or you can choose the file. I'm just going to drag it because I have it here. I'm going to drag that in, and so now it knows, hey, I've got this XLS file. And so now these are the fields that I've got created on contact. So you're going to look something like this. It's going to look something like this. I say my contact number maps to this field. My seller name maps to this field. So forth and so forth. My email address maps to where's email, wherever that's whatever that may be, right? So there's email. That's what I missed it. What's that? Email address maps to email, and you can choose which fields you want, right? And then once you're done, where's your done field? You click done. You can preview it if you want, but otherwise I'm done. Click next. Keep it clean. Sure. Now, if I duplicates, just do that. I don't care. I want to import my contacts in now, and now I have 4. Okay. But imagine, of course, these are the same thing. I just imported into itself, but you've imported all your contacts or all your leads into your Podio. Okay? Does that make sense how to do that? Does everybody have an idea how they're going to take their information and put it into Podio? You good?
You mail blasts from Podio then?
You cannot mail blast yet, that I know of. There are a lot of other really cool advanced features you can talk about. There's an email to app, so if you send an email, you can shoot the email to a specific address and that'll add the entry into your Podio.
What does that mean?
So if, for instance, you have an email and you can map it to certain fields or something like that, you can have that, you can email information into the Podio app.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So if I want to say, for instance, I've got some information, then I can email it directly into this app as opposed to going and enter it. That's one. You can create a web form, which is what we do a lot of. This is pretty cool. So right now, this is a web form that you can share with your VA, with your on a web page or something like that. You can choose which ones you want. Like I don't want all this information. I just want the person to enter in their email, their number, their seller name, bedrooms, bath, and so forth, right? Let's just say that's what it looks like. And so this way, when you can share this, and then people will be able to see, okay, I need to enter my information. They can enter it straight into here, and then it'll also get added automatically into your app. Okay? So this is cool to be added to your. We have a VR, and And so the virtual receptionist essentially takes the phone calls, and then they add the information to this page, and then automatically gets added to our Podio system. So we don't have to do double work, essentially. They're taking the call, and they're adding it here. Okay, but if you have a VA or something like that, and you don't want to give them straight access to the application, you can just say, here, access this page, which is this web link right here, right? If I click on that, and they'll have this is all they see. All they need to know is like, oh, I need to add in their information, and then afterwards, once they add in that, they fill out these fields, and they click submit, it gets automatically added to your Podio app. Okay, does that make sense? And let's see what else. I think those are the big things you're going to want to use. So you have your sellers, cash buyers again, you know, agents, offers. Again, it's very similar across all these. So if I wanted to add a cash buyer, I'd add a cash buyer, fill in my fields. Are they a cash buyer? Yes. Purchase from us, or looking for deals. This guy's name is, you know, Rich. And, you know, you may have to add a contact or so. So this is mapped to a contact field, so you have to create an entry. There. I'm not gonna do that. So, I would suggest the best thing to do is just to play around in it. You know, mess up, make a mistake, and then just keep on going and learn what you need to do. It's very intuitive. It'll give you a good idea of what you're, you know, getting into. Yes, you have a question there?
Yeah, so if I have an autoresponder system, and it's not the Aweber, but how would do I export to that, or do I import from that to this, or how do I link them?
Well, what do you mean your autoresponder? It'll automatically send them an email afterwards, or what do you mean?
Well, if I put a seller in this, can I have it so I can run like a report, I don't know, run something where it goes, so I'm not doing twice the work, or?
Can you explain what do you mean by, you know, what's the workflow gonna be?
All right, if I have, so there's an Aweber email address here, right? So the purpose of that is for if you have an Aweber account, I'm assuming, it
Really
links it up somehow, or?
Not in this case, no. It's just,
Okay.
that's just a title. It just says email. It's specifically an email field, and they call it AutoWeber, or Aweber.
All right.
But it's really just an email field, so it doesn't necessarily link to Aweber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was a way to like export it over or something.
No. Well, you can export the entire entries, right? So you saw how we were able to export all the data,
Same way.
and then just upload that into, you know, your autoresponder then. Okay? Let's see, I think we covered a lot of this already. Let's leave there. So your cash buyers make sense. Your agents is, you know, if you want to talk to your real estate agents. If you're making offers, you know, you can keep track of your offers here, right? If you want to add an offer from a person. And then this contact information, contact seller. And who's the bidder? I'm going to be the bidder. You can add, the way Sean Terry does, like, you know, this is the way Sean Terry does it, in that he adds the comps, he gets the lowest of the three comps, and then gets an average, and then that's how he determines his offer amount, okay? But you can do however you want. If you want to have a calculation here, or you want to just add a straight field entry where you just know how much it is, you can do that too.
I have a question.
Yes.
So here in this offers thing, where it says contact seller, so like when I type, so I added in two sellers, and then I try to, I don't want to have to input all seller information again. Will it connect to is there a way for it to connect to the seller information I already inputted into sellers?
Yes.
Because I'm typing it and it's not working.
So it's not going in? Let's see what happened. Let's see
Right, so
why.
you have your seller, right?
So, okay, so if I want to see, so this is a relationship one, right? This is a relationship field. And this field will map to a certain app. So let's see what app it has. So I'm going to choose an app. It has sellers. Why? It's minus seller leads. No, that's fine. Seller. Okay. So that should be good to go. Let's see. So if I type in, why is it not mapping together? do this. Because that's funny that that doesn't do that. So, we're gonna modify the template. I'm just gonna try this out and see if it works. I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna remove it, and then just re-add the field again, relationship. And I want it to be sellers from that one. Say done. And this is gonna be the seller. See, that one's done. And let me try and add one now. Okay, now it came through. So I don't know why, you may have to do that on your side if it's not flowing through. So let's do it.
So I have to remove it and add it back as a
Yeah.
relationship? Okay.
Just remove it and add it back. And let's say it's this one, I don't know which one that is. And so now that is my seller. So I don't have to go and re-add that information like you were saying, okay? You can add the bidder, I'm gonna be the bidder. You can add the comps if you want. Offer amount will be, Sean Cherry has a way of calculating it, so I'll show you the calculation. Essentially, he has the 3 comps, right? He has the average of those 3 comps. And then the offer amount is your average comp times 0.8. So he takes 80% of the lowest, of the average of the lowest 3 comps. That's how he does his offer. Now you may want to do it differently. You want to find that you may have an ARV field, and you want to take 70% of that, and you think your repairs are, 20,000 or something like that. So let's do something like that right now. So let's go and say ARV, and then this one is going to be repairs. And we'll just knock that out. We don't need that one. Okay, delete that. Okay, let's get rid of that. So here's your calculation, right? So your offer amount's going to be, let's see, we're going to take the at ARV. Hold on. Okay, so like I said, it doesn't have the auto refresh, so I've just made these changes. So let me get rid of that real fast. So it has to refresh itself, and then I'll modify it. Here we go. I'm going to add a calculation. And then that calculation is going to be at ARV, right?
What's the admin?
I'm sorry? The at
Yeah.
is kind of a symbol that says, hey, use one of my fields. Otherwise, I could just type in whatever, blah, 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 right? But if once I put the at sign in those, I need to go grab one of the fields that I have here. I can say ARV, right? Times it by 0.7, right? And then this one, say minus at repairs, like that, right? And that'll give you 70% minus repairs, and let's just say minus, you always want to make $10,000, right? That's our fee, okay? Click done. So now we've modified it now, so if I say ARV is 100,000, and repairs are 10,000, right? If I save that offer, the calculation should be, where's my calculation? Why aren't you working? Here's my calculation there. $50,000 should be the offer. Does that make sense? So I took 100,000, times it by 70%, minus the repairs 10,000, minus my fee of 10,000, and that's my offer. So it calculated that for you automatically. Okay? Does everybody see how to do that? Took the ARV, right? So you're just doing math right here. Times 70%, minus your repairs, minus your 10,000 fee. There you go. If I don't want this 10,000 fee, I can say, what if I want to add a field, right? And that field would be, let's add a money field. Let's change that to fee. I've saved that. And instead of 10,000, I just want to take the fee instead. Alright? And so now it's 60,000. Let's see, my fee is going to be 15,000. That's that. Close that there. And now my offer is now 45,000. Does that make sense?
And you can make any of those or all those pull down things as well,
You can make-
5, 10, 15, 20.
Yep. You can just change it pretty much however you want to modify it. It's up to you, you know? If you wanna do a completely different calculation, you wanna take it at 60%, 65, 80%, you know, whatever that is, you get to determine how that is. But, you know, play with the calculation, get a feel for it. It's very simple to, you know, hop in and just modify it so that it suits your needs, essentially. Okay?
Where's the data resident on your computer or cloud?
It's in the cloud. Yeah. But you can't export it. So if you want to take this, you can export all that data and save it onto a file, and then, you know, do what you want with that file too. Okay? So that's offers, and then whiteboards, like I said, kind of maps everything all together. So if you already have a buyer, already have a seller, you can add a whiteboard. You have the property address, your contract acceptance dates, the seller, you can, if you want to add HUD in there or not, property description, campaign. If you have something with the lockbox code or something like that, your buy price, your sell price, your buyer contact. So it's a way of, you know, mapping everything all together, essentially, right? I think that covers a lot of it. Again, I feel the best way to learn this is just to hop in, kind of play with it, and kind of just get a feel for what you're doing.
Are there any tutorials or any place to look for questions for any?
They have a good support website, so you can go there. They'll have videos on how to do various, you know, tasks if you want. We're also on YouTube.
YouTube is awesome, I just saw them this morning.
If you just go on YouTube, you can look
Couple
on
good
it,
ones.
you can find it. And I think there's, where is it, right here, help and support. And so you can, you know, how to do video forums right here, popular items. You can probably even chat with somebody too if you want to, if you really have a question and you need some help trying to find out how to do a certain specific task. Okay? So, I've been talking a lot. Does anybody have questions? Yes?
What's the monthly fee for this?
So the monthly fee right now, depending on how many users you have. If you have under 5 other users besides yourself within your workspaces, then it's free. So you plus 5 more people, 6 people on your team, that's free. Once you add more people after that, then it's $10 per person that you've already added. So
Per
once
month?
you add per month, yeah. So if you add a 7th person, now you're paying, I think it's like $70, $9.99 or something like that. But then with the premium feature, you get to add more people, and you also have different responsibilities. So at the top is an admin, so you get to add apps, you get to mess with the data, you get to clone apps, create all sorts of workspaces. There's a regular member that has less responsibilities, and then there's a light member that has even less. Let me see if I can find out what it is.
So,
Yes.
backtrack just a sec. You said, so yourself and 5 other people, that's 6 people, that's free.
Yes.
If you add one more, that's 7, then it's $70,
Yeah, then they charge you $10 per
but then it charges you 10 per person.
person. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or you just use that web feature,
Huh?
that, you know, and have people use that
Sure.
for VA or whatever, right?
You could do that too, yeah. So if you don't want to give the full access, you just create that web form and then just have them, you know, fill that out. Or
But that won't count as a web, as a person.
that does not count as a person, no.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you could also take that web form and put it on your squeeze page. So if you have a website, you put that form on there, and then people will go and they click whenever they click on it and they fill out the information, it'll also go right into your app too. Again, it's just an interface. It's a way for other people to interact with your information without actually having all that much access. All they can do is create. They can't update, they can't delete, they can't read. All they can do is just create an entry. Okay? Does that make sense? Any other questions? Really, no more?
We're experts now.
Wow.
Well, let's thank Kenneth for the presentation.
We get emails, Ken.
Oh yeah, no problem. Just let me know.
That concludes our workshop for this evening. Thank you all for coming. You get to go home early tonight.
Yay!
See you all next week.
I noticed,
Yes.
just, you probably already saw it, but we've just really started using Evernote a lot.
Oh yeah, everyone's
And so this integrates nicely with, we can combine them,
Combine them two in there?
yes.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they integrate with everything, and we,
Yeah.
Evernote's really confident in a lot of great things, but there's some great flexibility here for what we're doing that maybe Evernote doesn't have. So we're gonna try and see how they can play together.
Yeah, there's a lot of different apps that you can connect with too. I don't remember the whole list, but there's all sorts of different ones that you can connect. And, you know, import data in, export data to. Like I said, with Google Calendar, you can, you know, connect the calendars together, so sync those together.
Two bars down the calendar, I didn't see it. Three, sorry, three, I forgot.
So maybe a way to make that, I'm not sure. I know there's some.
I think it's, well,
Now I gotta input it, now I gotta input it.
Yeah, now the fun part's like getting everything in.
Yeah, exactly.
Get everything in, it's like, oh shoot, what am I doing?
Kind of a refresher on.
How do you use it? What's your like?
How do I use it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You say you get a call, you just go straight into the seller?
Yeah, so, the way I have it set up is that I have
Are you already on schedule?
my VR, so I have my marketing, and the VR calls